My name's Ashley. I'm the director at Compelled to Care. I have been a foster mom for about 4 years. I have 7 kids. No, that's a lie. I have so many kids though that I can't remember how many I actually have. But my kids are, I'm not even gonna try the ages, but I have 4 kids, ages 7, 5, 4, and 3. And been married to my husband for 12 years, and I do foster care. And this is my friend Nathan.
Hi guys, I'm Nathan LaChine. I've been a foster parent for over 15 years, going on 16 years.
That's amazing.
It's been an amazing journey. The coolest thing ever is being a grandparent before you're 30. So.
You look so good.
Oh, thank you. I know, I try. I actually have 5 grandbabies.
Oh my goodness.
I'm only 35, so I still get to go out and play with them, and I have all the energy to get them sugar high and send them on back home.
That is so, you don't even need, I put moisturizer on every day, but if I was fostering teens for as long as you have, I might be the best looking grandma out there.
I love the teens. They've been always kind of a soft part of my heart, and I just, it's amazing just how different it is working with the teens, because I can actually have conversations with them and really kind of deep dive into issues. And I enjoy that a lot more than working with, kind of the preteens or the little ones, because I know you like the little ones.
I do. I like the babies, because, I don't like the diapers or the crying. So that's a lot of it. But I'm kind of in the little phase, little kid phase of life. So it just kind of makes sense for our family.
I don't know. Those little ones are way scarier than my teens. Everybody's like, oh my God, the teens scare me. I'm like, the diapers, the formula, the sleepless nights, that all scares me.
So what's the craziest thing, funniest thing you've experienced in all your years of doing foster care?
You know what? That so had to have been my first kid. So I actually was one of the youngest foster parents. I started when I was 20 years old in what was called Pride training. So my birthday was July 14th. July 16th, I had my first kiddo. And he had actually gotten enrolled, he was 14, and enrolled into the same high school that I had graduated from 2 years prior. And on parent-teacher conferences, I'm walking, going to the classes, I feel like I'm really that parent. I've got my notes, I'm asking all the right questions, and I get to my math teacher. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to show off what kind of great parent I am to my old school.
Yeah.
And I get to my math teacher, and she looks down at my kids, she looks at me, she's like, last names, and she keeps doing that kind of head bopping, and she goes, excuse me, Nathan, you and I were pretty close, right? I go, yeah, I TA'd for you for a couple of years. And she goes, you never told me you had a kid. And I kind of looked at her dumbfounded, and I'm like, 21 and a 14-year-old. Aren't you my math teacher? That just doesn't add up.
You're like, I wasn't that super of a senior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, I forgive. It is Shelton. Sometimes we are kind of crazy out here, but I'm like, 14 and a 21-year-old. I wasn't 7.
Right.
So.
That's so funny. And I love it that you went in as first-time parent, where you're like, I'm going to do it all right. And people are like, what is this? Which is classic foster parent experience. It's it doesn't really matter what setup it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's always those looks of are they all yours?
Yep. It very much. It's so funny because people really are like, okay, how did that and this and that one? How does this all work? And they're my kids.
Everybody is a different race. How did that happen? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I've had a couple of that times where people are like, you have 3 kids with you. They're all above the age of 13. They all are different races. And how many girlfriends did you have? How many marriages? I'm like, oh, none. They're all my boys.
You just let it stay there. Yeah, I have done that also, where I'm like, oh yeah, they're mine. and then I just leave it. And does it know? Like,
it's awesome when that happens, like in grocery stores and kind of oddball places, and you kind of do that, like look behind you, and you see that look of just, how did that? I don't get that.
Yeah, what's the story here? Why does this chick have so many kids? So my story in the grocery store was, so I was a new foster parent. My daughter, she had just switched from, like, so with WIC, you're able, as you know, able to buy formula, and it's usually, that one's the easiest to buy because it's all the same. But then with WIC, once they turn 1, their WIC turns into buying all the like food, like real food, like cheese and Cheerios and things like that. And so it's not, and it's now it's way easier, but then it wasn't. And so I, like you, going into that parent conference, I was like, okay, first time foster parent. I have my list, and
Oh, you did a list. I love it.
Oh, I did, and I had it categorized, like, and I had my little book, and I was holding checks, and I had all 3 of my kids, like, who are all very, very close in age at that point. And in the same, like, car, stroller, buggy thing, because we were at Safeway. And so, and my kids are trying to throw like gummies in the basket, and I'm like, oh no, there is no room for error in this. Yeah. We are WIC shopping in the middle of the day. And so
I love it. You have your list. You're like, no room for it. We have to get this, and this.
Yeah, I can only get so many ounces of peanut butter. And so, I'm like, finally to the point, like, all right, I think I got it. And I look down, and I have lost the WIC checks. They're gone. And I'm just like panicking, starting to get like the sweats. And so then I like go up to the customer service, and I was like, hey, and I like try to like be quiet about it. I'm like, has anyone seen any like WIC checks? Because I lost them. And I'm like, oh my gosh, new foster parent fail. I lose my child, like WIC checks, which is like her right to have them. And so the ladies behind the counter are like, loudly, has anyone seen any WIC checks?
Oh.
I know. They're like, no, we haven't seen it. So I was like, okay. And so then I like go check my car. I run back home because I'm close enough. And then we come back, and just to double check, I was like, so I stand in the courtesy line, and then they're like, oh hey, it's the WIC lady. And I'm like behind somebody, and I just kind of like peer out, like, that's me. I'm the WIC lady. And so, and they're like, good, now you can buy your food. And I'm like, awesome. So then I get my like, very purposely planned food out, and we leave. And I was just like what you just, it's one of those, like, because you're not supposed to share your kid's story, which is part of the reason why you just accept all the like crazy looks. And that's one of those where you're like, you want to be like, oh, I'm a first time foster parent. That's what this is all about. But then you're like, nope, my daughter has a right to her own story. I will go ahead and like take all those looks and just turn red and leave the store. And that's what I did.
You're better than me. I would have played it off like, WIC person? Oh.
Not me. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was so funny. And so then I went to a different store, and I'd go at night without the kids, and I had the best checker, and he was great. He dressed all goth, and he had like green hair, and he's like, he'd be like, oh, it's you. This looks like WIC in nature. He's like, let me just put your stuff down. We'll close down the lane. And he's like, I'm so excited. I'm glad you're here. You came to the right lane. And like that, like, was just the experience I needed. And I was like, oh, okay, this is my grocery store. I found my grocery store. So that was my like funny thing. And I think as a foster parent, there are so many things where you're trying like a new system because it's all new. And I think the biggest thing is if you can laugh at yourself, because what else are you going to do? Like,
but you have to. I mean, I kind of have the same experiences when I go to the pharmacy. You know, I've been using the same pharmacy, so now they know me well enough to know, because they're like, date of birth, and I'll sit there and I'll ramble 3 or 4 of my kids' date of birth so I get the right one. And I actually just recently had the experience of my pharmacy does that like auto refill where you get text alerts.
Oh yeah.
And I reached the account limit of people on my account.
That's
they're like, we didn't know there was an account limit, but it says you can't add your new kid to it. I go, okay, we can delete a couple of them.
I get sometimes emails of families who come to Compelled to Care, and they are, you know, they're adding kids to our system, and they've been a part of Compelled to Care for a long time. And I'll get this email like, hey, I have like 10 kids on my family, and I kind of have to scroll through when I try to check my kids into church. And can you like delete some of them? So, yeah. And like they returned home, so yeah, it's so funny. I enjoy fostering. I think there's craziness to it, but there's a lot of fun to it, and so I'm excited to talk to you again about other crazy things about foster care.
Oh, looking forward to it, because like you said, it's you know, when you look back and you just kind of have to laugh at yourself trying to register kids for school, getting the meds, getting weight checks, and forgetting date of birth. And then, you know, now you go, after a couple of years, you're like an all pro. It's not a problem to do it. And I look back and I laugh at myself and I just go, oh my gosh, they place kids with me?